There we go. Good morning. Hi. Welcome to day two of From Health to Happiness with our hang on. Sorry, hang on a second. We have okay, good. Okay, perfect. Sorry. I just saw your post-it note. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't cover. I can't see you. Stop what you're doing. So sorry about I'm like, no, we can't see you, Darlene. You're not supposed to put the post-it note on your whole camera. Okay, anyways, so me and Darlene have already had a little bit of a crazy morning and we haven't even started yet. So this is day two. This is the second interview story for today. And I just want, and Darlene is a very, very good friend of mine. Darlene actually is an admin. Oh, where'd you go, Darlene? We lost you.
I I don't know.
Okay, well, I lost your
Hang
camera.
on.
So I'm just going to keep
Are you
talking.
there?
Yeah. Can you hear
Can,
me?
can you see me now?
Yes. Can you hear me? Don't touch anything.
I can hear you.
Okay, stop touching
I can
things.
hear you.
Stop.
I know. I'm going to put I have to put it down. Take my
Stop
thing
touching
off.
things. Okay, don't touch.
Am
Okay.
I okay or not?
Okay, you're perfect. Don't touch anything. Hands off. Okay.
No
Anyway,
post-it note. Sorry.
no post-it. So anyway, so Darlene is a very good friend of mine. She actually is an admin over on my Facebook group, Women Blazing Trails. Is that what it's called? No. What is it called? Women Blazing Trails. Is that what our group is called? Oh my God. I don't even know what my group is called. I'm losing my marbles. So Darlene was one of the women that reached out to me and said, yes, I have she's actually said I have quite a few stories to share. And we discussed a little bit about what story to share. So I just want people to know, first and foremost, that Darlene's story that she will be sharing is a little bit of a sensitive topic. I'm going to tell you that right now. We are talking about abortion. If anybody has a problem with that, I'm just going to put this out here right now. If anybody has a problem with that, um, please don't leave negative comments in the thread. They will be deleted. I'm just going to let you know that all negative comments will be deleted.
Mhm.
This is a sensitive topic. I get that there is pro-life and pro-choice, and we're not doing that on this live. That's not what this is about. So I just want people to know and be sensitive and be respectful of Darlene as she does share her stories. So I really just felt the need to get that out there because I'm not putting up with any of that. That this is not a negative space, and I will not tolerate negative comments. That's one thing that I've always been very firm about on my page. I will ban and delete your ass without even batting an eyelash. Honest to God.
You
Hi. So
will.
now that we got that out of the way, so this is my friend Darlene, and
Oh,
today we are talking about how Darlene was
abortion.
forced into abortion, right? You were forced into an abortion
Mm-hmm.
um, from your boyfriend at the time. So without further ado, I'm going to just we're just going to go back there now. I'm going to start the line of questioning. So tell me about, first of all, let's go back to that time and tell me about your boyfriend, your relationship with your boyfriend. Let's talk a little bit about that right now.
We have
Yes, we have
to.
to.
Oh, it was one of those things. What can I say? Our families were friends. My brother and his brother were friends. It was just kind of like a natural progression to things. And um, I was thinking about this, thinking I don't even remember how I took a pregnancy test, if I went to the doctor, where I got it, where I got the clinic from that I went to. I don't remember any of that. All I
Right,
remember is the procedure, as they called it. You don't
right,
call it abortion.
right. Back then, right.
Supposedly it was legal, but that's just you know
So how
not
how
right.
old?
It wasn't. I mean, nobody I was 18, so this is 43 years ago. So keep
Wow.
that in mind too, okay?
Wow. So when
I
you
did.
Oh, sorry,
What?
I'm interrupting. So when you found out you were
No.
pregnant, I forgot to raise my hand. Excuse me, teacher. Wait, I have a question. So when you found out you were pregnant, were you happy? Were you scared? Were you like, how did you feel when you even found out you were pregnant?
I was scared. I was really scared. I mean, you don't know how anybody's going to react.
Mm,
And I couldn't tell my parents. I mean, I don't know any person that could. I was 18. I was still living at home. But there's nothing I could say to my parents. So when I told him, he goes, well, we can't have a kid. We can't afford a kid right now. And you have to get it aborted, period, you know.
And did that even cross your mind to even get it aborted?
No, that part didn't. No. And when he said that, I just started crying. And he said, we can't afford a kid right now. I was 18. He was 22. I mean, but still, people make it through things worse than that. And I told him, I said, if you want it, you're going to have to set it up and you're going to have to pay for it, period. And he did, and I was bummed.
You had to pay for it.
Oh, yeah, you have to pay. It wasn't free.
Really?
Nothing's free, especially when it's illegal. You know,
wow.
This was a clinic set up for this purpose. And like I said, you don't call it abort, it's the procedure. They warned you that as soon as you walked in the door. We don't call it anything, we call it the procedure. So anytime they had something to tell you, it was the procedure.
Wow.
Now, first off, let me tell you, I mean, I lived in the Detroit suburb and we had to go into a nice or a not so nice area of Detroit for this. And we also had to pretend to our parents that we were doing our normal thing, which was going sailing. We had a sailboat. So it was like, we towed this sailboat with his cougar, behind his cougar, into a nasty part of Detroit and parked down the side street. And I secretly wish something would happen.
Oh my God, that's horrifying.
I don't know if
holy crap.
And I thought, you know, first off, we got to walk down the street to get to the clinic, but it was like, I don't know what's going to happen to it, you know, and I thought, I don't really give a shit. I have to do this. So, and we went in, took care of business. Yes, ma'am.
So people know that this clinic is the procedure clinic. Like it's not disguised as anything else. Like people know what goes on in there, don't they?
I would assume they did.
Okay.
But they don't call it anything. I mean, I didn't know anything about this stuff.
Right.
You know, and like I said, I don't even know how we found out about this clinic. How did we do that? I mean, I don't know anything.
So how much, how much did it cost? Do you remember?
It cost $167.
Really? Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
43 years ago.
So how much are they today?
Well, they had, I have no idea.
Gosh.
I have no idea.
Wow.
I mean, and this was a clinic. It wasn't a rundown, you know, back alley kind of place, but you know, it was a clinic. So, you know, I mean, it was busy. Believe me, it was busy. Wow. And what they did was they take you in. They took your money and told you you can only call it a procedure. Period. Boom. And then they have you go sit in a waiting room, and they call in like 3-4 females at a time. And you go sit in this room and they explain to you what they do and that you can't move. If you move, you might hemorrhage. You might hemorrhage to death. You might get so scarred you can never have another baby.
This sounds like a Stephen King movie. I'm sorry. Holy crap. So it's
scared the shit out of me.
Wow. I bet that must have been freaking horrifying, especially as a young, naive teenager going into this.
Oh, yeah. Well,
wow.
Nobody said anything ever through this whole process. I mean, obviously, they only did one at a time, but there were 4 of us in the room, and it was like, nobody said a thing. Wow. And I thought, okay, I'm holding still. I'm not moving. You know?
No shit. So,
you know, and they pull. What?
So how did you feel? So you knew you were aborting this baby, and you must have, like, talk us about, like, how did you feel about that whole thing about, you know, I have a life inside of me, and my boyfriend is telling me he's taking me here, we're going here, and you have to get rid of it. Like, how did you feel that whole time?
Obviously, I didn't like it. I mean, afterwards, I just cried the whole day. That's all I did was just sit and cry. But I didn't want to do it, but I didn't know what else to do. I mean, he was my confidant, my best friend, you know, everything. And it was like, I don't know what to do. I have to do that. But no, I just felt really uneasy. And obviously, once I went in there and they told us all that, I wanted to run out the door. You know, I thought, I don't I didn't want to do it to begin with. And then it was just, and it was 4th of July weekend, by the way. So every year I have a little birthday party in my head. So, but I did not want to do, I felt kind of trapped because it was like, I'm trapped. I have to come here. I can't tell my parents. And now I come here and they tell me all this shit. I believe that.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
Just because he said you have to.
Wow. Imagine your parents getting this phone call. Yeah, we have your daughter here and she's dead. And she had a procedure, but she moved and she died. Sorry about that. Could you imagine? Oh my God. So how long were you with this boyfriend for? Like how long were you still
Do I
with
really tell you? About a year. No, it was less than a year later. We got married.
Oh, you married him?
We had bought a house. Yeah, we bought a house. So it was just like I said, the next progression. I always called it, looking back, a marriage of convenience, because everything just fell in line. Everybody accepted everything. It was just the next progression. Obviously, usually you get married before you get a house, but we just, I don't know. I don't even know why we did that, because we had said we weren't going to live together if we weren't.
Really? So how long were you married for? How long were you married to this guy for?
5 years.
Oh, long enough.
Yeah. Well, probably about 2 years after this happened, he said to me he wanted to have kids. So he's going to take away my birth control.
Oh.
I just looked at him. I said, there's plenty more where that came from.
Oh,
and it was then that I knew I was never going to have kids with him.
Oh.
I thought there's no way. And also, friends we had rotten kids to begin with. So it was like we had no good example either.
My kids aren't playing with your kids. Your kids are jerks.
No, it was terrible. And at that point, I knew I was never going to have kids with him. That's all. And things got worse as the years went on. And it was like, he went in to get his wisdom teeth removed. And when he came out, he went home to mommy to recuperate with mommy. So I moved out.
Oh my God. So
yeah. And that was, 5 years later. So he was like 27. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit I want to talk about feelings, because that's kind of important. And, I'm not too shy to also share the fact that I also did have an abortion many years ago, of course.
Right.
But I know how I felt, and it was something that I needed to do. It was the right thing for me. And I know how I felt and what the feelings that I had after. As soon as I woke up from the anesthesia, I was like, I opened my eyes and I sobbed hysterically. And I think I sobbed.
Anesthesia? You had anesthesia?
You didn't have that? No. Anyway, okay. So I sobbed hysterically. My emotions I was flooded with emotions, and I probably cried for a week after. So how did you feel? Talk us a little bit about your emotions.
Well, again, we had to pretend like we were doing normal stuff, so we couldn't go home. We went to this park club thing that he belonged to, and we just parked there, had sat in the grass on a blanket, and I just cried my eyes out. That's all. It was like, I felt like I wasn't even, I don't want to say I wasn't alive, but it wasn't my life. It felt like something totally different. It was like, even like you said about the going in the clinic, Stephen King, whatever, but it was like it wasn't me.
Right.
It just wasn't me. And I thought, none of this stuff is what I do. And because I couldn't tell my parents, I was never close with my parents. Long story, more stuff there, but
were you able to tell anybody? Were you able to share that with the best friend, or were you able to tell anybody about it?
Yeah, my best friend. Yeah, she knew. and she had had an abortion herself already. So to her, it was no big deal. She was one that,
I think that was pretty commonplace back then, Darlene, because I hear stories about that all the time. Like it was so, I think it was more commonplace back then than it is now. But there's stories about, women our age back then having abortions all the fucking time. Like it was just something, it was just something
more than one.
Oh yeah, it was just a normal, like you said, it was just a normal everyday, you just go get your thing done and you go home. Like it was nothing, which is, I'm not going to say any more about that. It is what it is. So how do you feel? So I know for me personally, it took a little bit of time. I want to talk a little bit. I don't know if you felt a little bit of guilt. I can imagine you did. So I know for me, the guilt at the beginning was pretty overwhelming. Like I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I mean, I was not overrun with guilt, but I would be lying if I said I didn't feel any guilt, because of course I felt guilt. So I'm sure you felt guilt as well. So how did you, and we're going back a long time ago, but how did you heal from that guilt and that grief and that, like, how did you move forward and just eventually heal from that? And here now we are 43 years later. And you said you have little mini birthday parties, and I love that. But how did you heal from that? How did you deal with the guilt and the grief and all the feelings all throughout your life? Because every year, because I mean, even sometimes I think, well, I wonder what that child would, I wonder what they would look like.
Definitely. I mean,
so how did you
cried
deal?
daily. I did. I cried daily for a long time, obviously secretly and stuff. Right. And I thought about that baby daily for years, and I still do, but not as often now because I've had two beautiful children and my one daughter has two of her own children. So God was with me, and that's partially how I can say I finally forgave myself. But I'll get back to that in a minute. But it was like I felt like I was in a pit that just kept repeating because I kept thinking about it and, putting myself down over it. And I thought, my friend thought it was no big deal because she said she did it before. And it was like, I didn't think of it that way. And I kept trying to, I'll say forgive myself, but I didn't think of it as that when I was thinking of that. I just kept trying to, you did what you had to do. And that's how I tell myself now. I did the best I could at that time with what I knew. I mean, and that's all I can say. It's not a cop-out. It's just, I was going to be left stranded. That's the way I felt, and it was just the best thing for me to do. And I just think it was so stupid that I married him as it was. But anyways, you're young, you're stupid, you don't know things.
And that's exactly, you know what, you're exactly right. Because back then we weren't really educated on sex or relationship. We weren't educated on anything. So yeah, we were young and dumb, and everybody's like, oh, you can't use that as an excuse. Yeah, you can. We were young and dumb. Yes, you can. I don't care, because we weren't educated. And I don't know about your parents, but my parents never fucking taught me anything about sex or relationships or love or growing up or I didn't know any of that stuff.
I don't think they knew anything. So they didn't either. And of course they didn't in school either. They told you the process, but they didn't tell you anything else.
You're absolutely
it was
right.
And so I just did the best I could and moved on. But like I said, I still thought daily for years about that. And I still do. And I think, okay, that was 43 years ago. And what, would this person have a home? Was it a boy or a girl?
Exactly.
What is it? Would this person have a home, a family of their own and kids of their own now? I mean, my oldest is 30, so it would have been 13 years older than that person, but I might not have had the two I have now.
Right.
Because my life would not have followed the same.
It would have been totally different. Yeah, it would have been totally different.
Right.
Probably.
And that's the other thing I wonder. I think, what would it have been like? What would have happened? Would I have been a single mom on my own? Would he have just ran out like so many did back then? I really didn't know. So
Right.
I do think about all that stuff, and it's like, okay, those are all what ifs. Those are all in the past. It's gone. It's done. You know, and I was thinking to myself, okay, if you're a pro-lifer, shame on me. And if you're, you know, not, if you're pro-choice, it's
Choice.
like, well, you did what you had to do. And I just say, I did what I had to do, period. I mean, I had to do what was best for me at the time, because otherwise I just, horror stories kept coming through my mind, thinking I'd be stranded alone, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
all of that, kept, happening. But I did keep telling myself I'm okay. I talked to my friend, several times and stuff, but like I said, she had a different attitude. But it was after our divorce that I finally was able to totally forgive myself, only because I became a Christian.
Okay.
And that was my turning point for a lot of things in my life. I mean, that's why when we talked, it was like, gee, what should we talk about?
I get that.
And I wanted to do something or talk about something that wasn't what everyone else was talking about either. So I wanted to help someone else through that. But I
And the
lit.
girl, sorry, the girl I had before, she also found a lot of healing in finding God and becoming a faithful woman.
Mhm,
And I'm glad
right.
that you also are bringing that up, because you said, I became a Christian, and
Mhm,
in any, I'm not sure, I shouldn't, well, any kind of religion or faith, forgiveness is one of the biggest healing,
right.
forgive and
Forgiveness and love,
right.
and that's why I don't really fight anybody on any religion, because every single thing that I have learned about these religions are all based on love.
And forgiveness, kindness,
And
kindness, love, and forgiveness.
I know it's just, and everyone has different ways of doing forgiveness. Some are, I mean, I've learned some awesome things over the years, on ways of forgiving.
Hmm.
And it's just, my faith has got me through a lot, period.
Right.
But it's really been the last 5 years, after I've gone through all my other bullshit, 3 marriages,
Right. Right.
bankruptcy, all that crap too.
Oh, your life
But
sounds like
anyways,
mine. Could share some
it
stories.
was, since I moved here, I left my town, my city I lived in, just across the street across the state, because my daughter moved here
Right.
to
I
go to
remember that.
college and never came back. And we were very, very close. And it took 5 years to actually move here. Um, so when I actually did, I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place to stay, but I wanted to be near her. She was a part of me. And she didn't have a problem with that either. But anyways, that's getting off the track. But it was a part of my healing. That's been, since I moved here, my life has been like awesome. We went through some hard times because I lived farther away. Now I live real close. But it was just the people I've met online, you being one of them,
Yeah.
and, just everybody supportive and everybody understanding has been a growth for me, you know, um, seeing how real people will treat you.
Yeah. That's
And
it
that's
right
how
there.
I've learned how to treat real people, by
Hmm.
being real and not, judging and all that other crap. But I've learned so much just in these last 5 years. That's really, truly been my turnaround time, the last 5 years.
Right. Yeah. I can kind of, I totally get what you're saying, because for me, it's been probably the last I'm going to say 2 years where I've really grown and healed, and like
Mm-hmm.
grown spiritually, grown, like, I hate to
Right.
use the word, I hate to say I've become mature, because I don't think I really am mature, but I feel like I've grown, like I've kind of become mature a little bit. And I use that term loosely, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, yeah, that I have grown, I've evolved, judge less, appreciate more, love more, kindness, be real. And it's funny that you should say the people that you met, online and in groups, you nailed it, because that's exactly where most of my tribe is. the people that I've met online,
Mhm.
and I wish I could meet them in person and just give them all big hugs, like you
I
included.
know.
It's the people I've met online that
Yes.
have helped me grow so much into who I am. And you know, and you don't stop growing. Every day, like, I
Oh
learn
yeah.
and take a little bit of everything from everybody I meet, especially like you and other people and the women in this event. I've taken a little piece from them, and it just helps me grow a little bit more. And it's
Right.
incredible. So I just want to talk, we're going to wrap this up, but I do just want to say, so you do still every now and again still think about that baby, and you have healed from your guilt and your grief. And would you, if you had to, and I like to close with this, if you had to give, if you had to give a piece of advice, one piece of advice to any woman or man, well, woman for in this situation, who's dealing with guilt or grief or anything about something like that, what piece of advice or little gold tip would you share with them right now?
I've I've been listening to the other interviews, so I was prepared for this question.
Yay!
I've been thinking about it.
Yay! Good girl.
And what I've come up with is you have to do what's right for you. You can't do what anyone else tells you to do, asks you to do, says you should do. You have to do what's right for you. We're all different. There's no two of us the same. So you have to do what's right for you. And
That's
you
so
have to
perfect.
do it and let it go. It's in the past. It's done.
It's done. That's perfect. I love that, Darlene. So we're going to wrap this up. So for those of you that have watched this, and for those of you that, if you're in the comments, we can't. Oh, by the way, I should have told you we can't see the comments. So if you're here and you're commenting, we can't see them, but Darlene will go in after if there are any comments and she'll address them. If there are any negative comments, I will delete them. Thank you so much, Darlene, for sharing your story, because I know it's a little bit of a sensitive topic, and and I had no problem saying it. You know what? I That's the same thing happened to me. You know what I mean? I have no
Hmm.
problem sharing that because
Hmm.
back then, that's what we did. Um,
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, well, it is what it is, right?
just
So I
just the
love
way it was
you.
done, I guess.
Yeah, I love you, and thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing your story, for sharing your journey and your healing. And I hope that your story is an inspiration to at least one woman out there. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
hope you have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.